what I think kills it is like anything that we might suggest that they carry that's not found in Belize that they're having to bring in, they've got to import. Like it's the exact opposite of us, like we bring in all of our coffee, but then, we import coffee from really down there in the Belize area in Central America, but we have everything else here in the States, and it's just a matter of finding the right vendors, finding all that. So we've been helping them try and find their vendors, but vendors are pretty few and far between in a place like Belize or in Central America. So a lot of the things they're bringing in come from other places.
Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club, where we discuss all of the insights, expertise, and drama that goes into making your passion your profession. Our hosts, Aaron, Ben, and Drew, are three coffee experts who have taken their coffee experience and turned it into true expertise. They have consulted with major coffee brands throughout the United States and beyond, providing operations expertise and growth strategy for drive-through openings, multiple locations, and everything in between. So brew yourself a cup and hang out a bit with the Coffee Experts Club.
Coffee Experts Club. Good to see everybody that's tuning in. Our very own Drew Moody is probably not going to join us today. If he does join us, he'll join us late. But she is on location in Belize, which is pretty awesome. For those of you who don't know, I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago, but in case you missed that, our first international client that is taking us off of our normal US-based soil. The majority of what Coffee Experts does is in Pacific Northwest. Obviously, that's where the majority of our coffee is. The crib of coffee, as we say, at least the way we do it with fast coffee drive-through. But except for Outsider, right? We've got Outsider that's now over on the East Coast as well, which appears some of that direction. But we've never really done it on foreign soil. Never really taken the concept someplace else. We haven't done a lot of outside of the nation. Obviously, it's something pretty new. I think probably coffee, the way we do it outside the nation, is pretty new anyway. But we have got an opportunity to take Coffee Experts Elite down to Belize with a new coffee client down there called De los Mayas. So of the Mayans, Mayan coffee. Pretty excited about that opportunity. Into the dozens of coffee shops together. But so we have our smart sheet and we work through it really systematically. And, it's like each phase is built on a set number of weeks by our prescribed standard of how long it takes to get things through each level. Just an opportunity to go down and do some consulting, for Coffee Experts Club Elite. We had Drew just up in Montana last month, and then he took a quick vacation, and then now he's on to his next one down in Belize, just kind of getting things started, which has been a totally new set of curveball for us. Ben, I know you and I have opened up well over a dozen coffee shops together, but this one has been different.
I can't imagine. Like it's always a slower pace down there. Like I can't imagine. I thought we had to deal with slow paces with contractors up there. Like what's it like down there?
Well, I will say this, and it's actually pretty surprising. So because I think that there's just a lot of things in the States that are like safety nets, right? There's a lot of check and balances, with the state, with the city, with the health department, with like all these different things that require levels of bureaucracy, right? Like turning in all these forms, we're in the middle of right now with Human Being Reno with their location, health department asks for all of these particularities that really, in all honesty, it's just check boxes, right? They're just, probably not even use half the information they're collecting, but the information takes a while to put together. What's the load ratio on this many machines based upon how much, what's the cubic feet on your, on your walk-in freezer, like all these crazy things that
your hot water heater, gas or electric.
It's not just a straight go to here to get said answer. It's a bunch of fact finding. Well, in Belize, you don't have to deal with that. In Belize, it's more just like, hey, are you licensed to be a business? And then have you found your space? Awesome. And then it's kind of just like, well, I hope that works out for you. I have been really impressed and surprised with how good of speed we've been able to just transform a space, because we went, down there from this like open garage essentially into, it's being set up for the style of quick coffee. I mean, it's not a drive-through, but it's being set up as a drive-through style because they have every intention of going to more than just this one walking space, but it's a tourist walking space that they're preying upon, looking for Americans who I think we've talked about this before a little bit, but like Americans are so funny how they want to get away to third world countries and just like enjoy just being in the tropical, and they just don't want to see any other Americans. They just want to enjoy them until they want their coffee their way. And then they're going to bitch about it all the way up and down the street about nobody has their coffee the way they like their coffee. And so that's really what the Dainless Mayas are really leaning into. So it's just a walk up, but it's fashioned around, like fast style coffee. So Drew's down there consulting with hiring, train, just like we do for all the coffee experts elite, like hiring, training, raising up a manager, helping them line out their menu, helping them get set up on their POS system, helping them get, all the different things lined out with workflows in the shop as far as how things move the quickest, to keep car times or cup times like low, is the goal. But I will say some of the things that used to just like be long stretches for me and you actually have been cut pretty short in comparison. But what I think kills it is like anything that we might suggest that they carry that's not found in Belize that they're having to bring in, they've got to import. Like it's the exact opposite of us, like we bring in all of our coffee, but then, we import coffee from really down there in the Belize area in Central America, but we have everything else here in the States, and it's just a matter of finding the right vendors, finding the right that. So we've been helping them try and find their vendors, but vendors are pretty few and far between in a place like Belize or in Central America. So a lot of the things they're bringing in come from other places. So then it's like, that's the long lead time, is like some of the ambiance stuff, some of the decor stuff, some of the things that they're having to order on the Amazons or whatever that have to hit a port and then have to be imported in. Like that's a much longer lead time than us with Amazon that, like, depending on what city you're in, you could, what do you want that tomorrow? Like, like that's different. So
I wonder how long of a lead time does that put on, like, say, like just a standard dry goods ordering? Because, like, I'm thinking up here, like we were dry goods order a week. You order 2 days before, it shows up 2 days later.
Wow.
For a local delivery truck. What's that sort of lead time on standard dry goods?
Yeah. So, I mean, that has been a real pain as far as, we can get some things like something Belize supplies, some things Guatemala supplies, there's some things that are there, but not like we know it's here, and we're trying to replicate what we know works, right? Because if you start messing with the secret sauce too much, are you going to get the same kind of results? We feel like we've helped coffee shops all over the US, mostly in the Pacific Northwest, but all over the place, get to a certain standard of expectation on what your ROI is on investment in, like if you come in with these amount of dollars and you set it up this certain way, almost like a franchise model, except where we don't take, like a percentage from people. We're just helping people with setting up their systems. I feel like we've got a pretty good science. We've gotten inside the underbelly of enough businesses, underneath the hood of enough different like POS systems to see reporting and to see financial reporting from, their financial softwares that we can say with a pretty high level of accuracy, if you open up a store like this in this kind of an area with this kind of a traffic count, we can pretty much tell you what you're going to get on the backside with it. But like, as we go into these new places, like don't mess the secret sauce too much. I mean, like be careful, even something as silly as dry goods or supply and all those different things is no, I think you built an amazing tool of profitability per cup. Like, so cup sizes, that's really important. You know what I mean? And then like, and all the different pieces that go into that, how much you paying for your cups, how much you paying for your little time, how much you paying for your sleeves, how much you paying for your straws, and like all that factors. So we've tried to stay to that, but downside being not all those things are available down there. I mean, not all those things are available around. So then you are talking about import. So then you are talking about long lead time. So, I mean, honestly, like 2 months with some of that stuff. And so then we're ordering like a quarter at a time. I mean, instead of just, like, weekly. So it's like they did really good to think through having a big enough space that they could store a lot of stuff. They're kind of treating this location as their training center / extra storage space, so that when they do open up the smaller stands that are more drive-through that might not have a lot of storage space, they're holding it a little bit different. So,
and I wonder too, like, I mean, obviously, because I've been down in South and Central America quite a bit. We go to Costa Rica all the time.
Yeah, you do. Treehouse Adventures. That's what we call it. It's Treehouse Adventures.
I love Costa Rica. Probably Belize too. But there's very distinct on tourism and off tourism seasons. So I'm sure that comes to play too. Even like ordering, for example, like, okay, if we're ordering a quarter out, are we ordering the start of a tourist season? Maybe we should increase the order by 25%, 30%, whatever it is, or reordering into the end of the tourism season. So we just bring that down. I'm curious to see how that all works out and just the learning process of, because here it's kind of like, okay, we're in summer, ice drinks, ice drinks, snow hits, now it's hot drinks.
Yeah.
But there isn't that down there. It's just always hot. So it's more like,
right.
and there's tourism or there's no tourism. Like,
So that's exactly what I was thinking was, I feel like we've really mastered a calendar, right? As far as we do sales and reach goals for shops all the time, depending on their volume size, depending on what their average sales, average trans, average, like dollar per transaction. I feel like we've got a pretty dialed science on what we would recommend for any given month of the year, your predictability of sales to be, because right, that's how you're going to predict ROI. That's how you're going to predict like investment opportunity in the future. That's like really pour the gas on now because we know that there's an opportunity to really boost sales here, really drop your cogs. What's going on, Belize?
I just got done meeting with Mr. Cruz, our good friend down here. He's going to do our mural.
I love it. Yeah. So I was just telling, we were just talking about De Los Mayas, our newest coffee experts elite, Drew Moody in the house. I love it. So anyway, we were just talking, Drew, about high times and low times, and how in the States, Ben was talking about, as we come into summer, we're ramping up into cold drinks, and as we're coming into winter about this time, everybody's starting to talk. Okay, hey, make sure you're back on your steam milk. Make sure you're back on, that everybody understands, the hot drinks you need to put out, but how it's always hot down in Belize, or it's not, it's not ever the same variance. But my hope would be, Ben, is that, and this is going to be something we just have to test, and sales and reach goals or what we're predicting for people is treating tourist season like we would treat maybe summer season, like spring to summer, and see if like some of it's kind of like a testing, right? A vetting of things that we've been really in the practice of in the past, seeing how they're going to work now. But
I think that sounds about right.
what is the tourist season like? Is it crazy in the tourist season and there's a really big noticeable drop off, or does it stay pretty consistent?
Yeah, no, my understanding is tourist season starts, well, they're shooting for a October 21 grand opening date. We'll see if we make it. I mean, that puts a lot of stress on Drew. So I think that we might push that back a little bit. They're not hard pressed for that. Tourist season doesn't really start full stride until mid to late November, really, as far as when you really start seeing volume. So, we're trying to get, our reps in, do some soft opening stuff, do some so they're not under full pressure of having, to produce drinks like that. And then it runs, my understanding is until about May, like it starts petering off, like March, April, May is when it starts petering off. And then they've got some different business strategies of things they're going to tap in, because I do think it really pretty substantially drops down. So like what else are they going to do in the buy times with maybe special events, and catering gigs, and like just being like having a cart going places and doing stuff, I think is kind of how you keep, right? How do you normalize? You want to try and create a normalized income so that it's not like spike and nothing, so I think that's kind of the plan.
One of the nice things about tourist season is they get dropped off right outside the store. But buses pull up 10 feet away and people just pile out of them and walk right past the storefront.
Oh man, that's
I think, building relationships with those kind of companies too, right? Like that's something Jim and I've talked about a lot, is even back in the days of roasters, even for us, how do we partner with other businesses? How do we partner with other people that are going to funnel like people towards us? I think back of the old Liz Irwin days, of opening stuff. We partner with the hospitals. Like, how do we partner with the playing fields right behind us? Like, how do we get into the groove with some of that stuff where that's actually channeling volume towards us? I think that they're really taking the same mindset down there at De Los Mayas of how do we partner up with, like Drew was saying, the travel agencies? How do we partner up with the hotels? How do we get in front of Americans before Americans realize what they're looking for yet? And really bannering, hey, we know what you're looking for here. Come here. Yeah. And then all the same things, all the same normal stuff, right? Of daily habit. How do we get them into a daily habit? Like, how do we, for us, back here in the States, it's like dropping Timmy off at school, picking Timmy up from school. Like, how do we get into those things? Getting the high school kids to come in for their super big energy drinks, all hyped up. You know what I mean? Like, but like down there, I think it's more, you got like a 7 to 14 day window of somebody going to be in town.
Yeah.
How do we make sure for the next 7 or 14 days they come here for every time they get their coffee,
And the nice thing is if you make that good impression, that right when they get, like Drew said, dropped off the bus there, you're immediately like that. Oh, I'd have to think about where to go for coffee. Like if you're the first one, it's like first right out the gate, and it was good. And they're like, I'll just keep going back here. And I don't have to worry about trying to like Google Maps somewhere, I have to walk, 4 or 5 blocks away. I know exactly what this is. So that's really smart. But partnering with the businesses too, like you got to think at this, it's great for getting those Americans, but at the same time, those businesses aren't going anywhere. So those are going to be your primary customers during the off season of tourists. You know, they still going to be there. So if you can get those businesses too to actually like your product, then you've got your consistent off tourism base, and then they're promoting your product when the tourists are coming in. I think it's really smart. That's a way to go. There's much interest, Drew, and people walking by asking what's going on.
I can't get any work done. Yeah, asking when are we opening? Are we hiring? What are we doing? What's it like? What's our menu? Are we selling food? Things like that. Constant questions, constantly. And I mean, we've got over 60 applicants, so it's been a one little tiny flyer on the door. So that's happened a week ago, not even. So that shows quite a bit of traffic.
We did help them. We did help them push some stuff online too. I think that, you know, we've been trying, but I think it's just our normal jam. We're just taking it someplace else, you know, but I think it's been cool to see. You know, that's always encouraging. You know, like obviously the three of us have put a lot of time into Coffee Experts, and the whole Collab team has, but like, especially us three, it's cool when you can start seeing some of the things that we've employed through the years, we've built through the years, we've created through the years, working someplace else so different, you know? And so I think we did some pretty cool stuff with helping them come up with how to find applicants. And it's just cool that, I mean, as Drew begins to do interviews, that he's got 60 people to choose from. Let's choose the best of the best. Let's get like the best of best in here, you know? But I mean, there could be some really cool stuff too, Drew, and I've been talking about as well, of different kinds of jobs though too, because down there, something they don't have is like linen supply, like things that we take so for granted. You know what I mean? That we're going to have clean towels dropped off, you know, a certain amount of days a week, and then they're going to pick up our dirty stuff a certain amount of times a week, you know, like they don't have that kind of stuff there. So could we like create that kind of a position within De Los Mayas for them where, you know, somebody's taking, you know, all the rags that we purchased to someplace else to be laundered, bring them back, like, and even that become a position, or like some different things that I think could be cool. Yeah. Drew and I are still talking about some stuff along those lines to help them with that.
Even as simple as trash. There's not like a trash service that comes and there's no dumpster really nearby. So I was talking to Pedro, Mr. Cruz, and he was talking about there's people who will come by and will drive bikes by, and you know, they'll pick up your trash with their little cart and they'll take it for you for some money. But I mean, we could buy our own, you know, how they could buy a little De Los Mayas card. We could do something like that ourselves within our own, you know, employment group.
That's funny. Yeah. And a lot of things you don't ever really think of that you just take for granted up here.
I will say the flip side of it is that, like, the state should have for a reason. Like, you don't want to like chunk up your whole sewage system because nobody's thinking about how much dairy we're putting down a sink. I mean, like that, there are some things, you know, that have pain point implications. And so Drew and I have been really trying to think through for them. Hey, this is something new. We're introducing something new here. How can we do it well? How can we do it right? How can we do it thinking from the end to the beginning? And how can we take out as much of the pain downstream as possible? So I think all those different things, but all the things you take for granted that are just like standards in the States. There you go, someplace like Belize that's amazing. Belize is incredible. What an amazing place. Drew's just seeing it for the first time, just got there yesterday. Drew, I'd love to give a couple minutes to just like, what's your thoughts on it? But I feel like it's so beautiful, someplace so tropical, someplace so incredible, but they're just not at the place the States is from standards wise, you know? So, you know, there are going to be other painful implications that there's no banking system that connects with the POS system in the country of Belize. Like that's a totally different business model. That's a totally different jam, you know, and like all those different things you just have to take in consideration of how do we still make this work? Tell us a little bit about Belize, bro. Tell us what you're thinking. Are you sweating standing in your living room? Because there's no...
See me wiping my face constantly. Belize is amazing. I finally got the experience of being somebody who gets off a plane and someone's holding their name on the sign. And I walked around like it wasn't me, just to actually experience it longer. And I was like, okay, guys, what's up? But yeah, then we drove in, and I mean, it's a very interesting place. I spent about an hour in the car with the gentleman, and he was filling me in on, you know, the demographics and the community organizations and how that all works together. And really, really beautiful place and really industrious people. They're really hard workers, and they're really community oriented. So, I mean, I could walk down the street, everybody says hi to me. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Hey, stay blessed. There are things that they say, and, you know, I feel really comfortable and welcome pretty much anywhere that I go. I go into the restaurants, and everybody's like, everybody sees me and they're, hey, how you doing? Come on in, sit down. You know, what do you need? It's just really fantastic, really interesting. I'm still learning a lot. Everybody I talk to tells me a story about where they come from and what they're doing. And that's the whole coffee jam, you know? So they're already used to telling their stories, and we don't have to pry it out of them. So it's going to be perfect customer base, I think, because the barista side of things is getting people to talk. And then our experience is not always open doors for conversation. So, but yeah, I mean, I've only been here not even 24 hours. Yeah. But I mean, the humidity is not as bad as it was in Texas. Let me tell you.
Really?
Yeah. Not even close.
Hmm.
I feel like I walked into it and like it's just solid rain everywhere in Texas. And here it's gently humid, gently humid. And a lot of the buildings are built out of concrete because, it's humid. It's not what we do up where we're from. So, but so far it's been absolutely beautiful. And I met some really, really great people and it's hot. But yeah, I'm excited to get in there and I'm excited to meet these 60 people. I don't know if I'll actually be able to meet them all, but get them in there and start training them up because, everybody has a little barista in them.
At least the applicants that I've been seeing, because obviously we did it all digitally. People are all applying digitally. It's all coming into sheets, so it's ideal for us, because we can just like cherry pick, highlight the ones that are going to be best, put together interviews for Drew. But at least the majority of the people I'm seeing, Drew, is there isn't a lot of barista experience. So I know that you've always said sometimes that's the better, right? Like it gives you just a blank slate, just a palette to be able to create with and teach them the way you want them to learn.
That's exactly right. And honestly, some of their answers are super well spoken. We don't get those type of, they're really sometimes long winded, but incredibly well worded sentences around why they want to make coffee and how it's going to benefit them and why they want to work with us. And it's certainly easier. Anyone who has a knack for doing what we do to teach somebody who has never been taught before how to do these things, because essentially you're working uphill if somebody has bad habits. Much harder to break bad habits than build new good habits, especially when it comes to something that what we do is so repetitive all the time. Sometimes you don't even think about what you're doing and you're made a whole cup of coffee. So those are the bad habits that are so subconscious, you have to break them. So I'm excited to get some fresh baristas, kind of like how it was in Montana. All of those kids are really fantastic baristas.
I'm curious if you got any applicants that are like previous bartenders or something along the line that might have experience that kind of translates over to coffee.
Generally speaking, they just say customer service, or I have a little coffee experience. No bartending yet, but we'll see. I'm sure.
Some people have mentioned working in cafes, though. Like some of it, I think people are trying to frame it the way they think we want to hear it. And I think it's true. At the end of some of the interviews, you might find like what you're seeing, Ben, is that there is some stuff. Not everybody has a resume that they're giving us. We give them an opportunity to drop a link for a resume, but like, depending on how much tech they have, how much they built on their own. These are still kids, like, right? The majority of people are looking for is that younger person. So we'll see. Well, I mean, interviews are going to start next week. You know what I mean? So we'll see what Drew's got. We appreciate you.
Happy to be here.
Okay, guys. And then Drew, I think next week we might take a little more of a tour. Once you've got some things set up and dialed in, we might even try and get some tour in if we can. If we can.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more presentable space. It's kind of like ground zero in there right now.
Sure. All righty, guys. Well, I'll talk to you guys then next week on Coffee Experts Club. Drew, man, keep the faith, man. Be strong down there. Do awesome.
Thank you. All righty. See you guys.
Thanks so much for joining us today. For those of you who are looking to become a coffee expert yourself, we offer an incredible, thorough training online for opening your first coffee drive-thru at www.myfirstdrivethru.coffee.